Hello there! Well, thanks for tuning in. In this lesson, I'll be using the Mont Studio Acrylic to paint this easy little landscape. Before we start, if you love art, then make sure you check out our webpage at www.montmart.net because there is lots more lessons there in the TV category. We also have links to our Facebook page, our Instagram, and our art club, The Creative Connection. So I've printed out the PDF to A4 size. This design is very easy to mark up. The elements are divided into 4 equal parts, and then the top half is halved again. This is important because the mountains lie at this point. I mark up the points for each flower, and it is also important when positioning these not to make them too consistent. I then lay out titanium white, cyan, phthalo blue, cerulean blue and crimson. Dip the brush in water and lay some cyan into the top portion of the canvas. Roughly mix some phthalo into the colour and then paint the remainder of the sky down to just shy of the mountains. Use the widest flat for this and don't blend it all in. A painterly coat provides more interest. Add titanium white into the very bottom part of the sky and allow it to roughly blend with the cerulean coat. I then create a pinkish mix from 4 parts white, 1 part scarlet with just a touch of lemon yellow and scrub some cloud shapes in. Don't make these shapes too hard or they will look contrived. Soften them by dry brushing the edges. Once you're happy with the amount of pink clouds in the sky, wash your brush and lay pure titanium white into the area directly above the mountains. Use a smaller brush for this and again soften the edge of each cloud. Bring the colour into the pink rain clouds as well. The mountains can be broken into 3 main tones. The first colour is the darkest and it occupies the mountains closer to us. This is a deep purple created from phthalo blue and crimson. Add some white into this mix and paint the mountain in the middle ground. The third tone is made up of 2 parts titanium white and 1 part cerulean blue. Lay this into the remaining mountain. Add cyan blue into the lower proportion of the mountains and drag it over to the purple mountains from the left side. In this case, the light is emitting from the right hand side of the work, so leave the right hand side free of blue. I lay the tone over the surface so there is no hard edges, and finally add a little pure crimson into the leading edge of the mountains closest to us and drag this tone into the blue. I then create a very thin mix with a touch of crimson and water and glaze this over the light mountains in the background. Once we are happy with the mountains and the sky, we can lay in the foreground with sap green mixed with crimson red. Lay this colour in around each flower. Darkening a green with a red is a really good way to change the hue cleanly. As you get closer to the bottom of the canvas, add in more crimson and again don't mix the tones thoroughly. You want dark and light patches. Once this coat is all laid in, let it dry. Next we can add some sap green mixed with equal proportions of lemon yellow and dry brush it over the green at the base of the mountains. Don't entirely cover the dark green though, we want some underlying colour to provide some suggestion of depth. Next I squeeze out some orange and lay it into the far foreground in dabs. Use a medium flat brush and lay the paint on considerably thickly. I have yellow on my palette as well, and as I move along I add this into the orange so that my colour is not too monotonous. I then lay in cerulean blue below the orange and around the flowers. It is important to keep the colour out of the flowers as the white point of that canvas is needed for a vibrant red. Make sure you allow little areas of the green to show through and make your placement sporadic so it doesn't look too balanced. Whilst I have the blue, I lay in vertical strokes under each flower to suggest the light play from the stems. Next, I apply some emerald green over the orange and concentrate it around the middle of the canvas. Let some of that orange show through and bring it into the cerulean blue. Like the blue, add some vertical strokes as well. Get into the habit of constantly walking back to view your work. from across the room, as this gives a different perspective and allows one to see if it needs more information. Essentially, you want to emulate the complex look of vegetation, where no pattern reoccurs, and basically give an impression. The poppies are really the star of this show, and like any flower, do not display as a single tone. Poppies are also concave, so there will be a shadow partially thrown over the face. So I create a mix of 2 parts crimson to 1 part phthalo blue, and lay this very thickly into every flower. The recent application of paint also reinforces the fact that they are closer to the viewer. I lay the darker red into 1/2 of each flower and roughly mix the lighter red directly on the canvas. You can see how well colour theory works in this situation, as the companion colour for red is green, and they make each other resonate. Once the body colour of each poppy is in, let them dry and lay pure scarlet into the side of the flower in light. This will add more interest and enhance the concave shape more. Add a few more dabs of colour to suggest some partially hidden poppies. Next, I add in the centre of each poppy with a mix of phthalo blue, sap green and crimson in equal proportions. Don't apply each dab in the centre of the flower, as the point where it is placed will give an indication of the flower's angle. For example, the lower the point suggests the flower is more horizontal. I then add some titanium white into the dark centre of each poppy. The final step is to add in the stems, and voila! See you next time!